Hey everyone, this is Hayley Kamatra bringing you Pokemon Art Academy. We are into episode 3 of my series, and tonight is also Halloween, so for a while now I've had to actually avoid recording until like most of the trick-or-treaters got home so that I don't accidentally record kids giggling and but most of the trick-or-treaters are they sound like they're done for the night, so I can record now. Before I actually start drawing, I'm going to make sure that I've heard that there's some downloadable content that I can get. Gorgeist and Miss Magius, however it's pronounced. So these are new free paint images that are in the spirit of Halloween, no pun intended. But they look like they're fairly complicated designs, so I'm not going to actually start drawing them yet. I'll go back to these guys when I feel more confident in my skills. But what we are going to do today is we are going to go back to the mini lessons that we had learned from Oshawott. So we're also going to do Chespin, Tepig, and Squirtle. And depending on how long they take, I may also advance to the next lesson, which is the Fennekin lesson. So I'll get started with Chespin, and let's speed up! Today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about my personal feelings regarding art and why I feel so passionate about art and drawing, and why I feel inspired from art. And basically I'm going to be talking a little bit more about my personal history regarding art. Now this story comes in two parts, and they are technically two different stories, but they happen so close to each other that I feel like that they're two parts of one story. So the first part is the happier part, and the second part is the sad part. So brace yourselves regarding that. I had mentioned in my first video that I had drawn a piece of art that I had submitted to my school's art contest, and I had gotten an honorable mention. I would like to talk a little bit more about that time period. What was going on was I had just moved from one city to another city, and that, of course, included me going to a new school. And anyone who has moved and started attending a new school, you know that kind of awkward feeling about trying to meet new people and trying to make new friends and trying to get familiar with the school and the instructors, and you know that awkward feeling. What made it worse for me in particular was that our family had moved in January, so this was like the middle of my freshman year in high school, and that meant that half of the year had been spent already, and all the students in all the classes, like, they know how the class functions and they know about the instructors, and they already have their little groups. And suddenly, like in the middle of the year, this new kid comes into the classrooms, and and the, uh, and everyone feels awkward about the situation. Not only the new kid, but also everyone else, because what is this new kid going to think? How are they going to say something that's going to be embarrassing? And that's how I felt in that year. The only class that I felt a real connection, like almost right off the bat, was my art class. And that was because when I was younger, and well, I still kind of have this problem today, but especially when I was younger, I had a lot of trouble expressing myself through words. So I found it a lot easier for me to express myself through art, and I felt like I didn't feel like I could be judged for expressing myself through art because everyone has a different art style, um, it's not that easy to be so readily accepted when you're talking, like when you're using words to express yourself. It's a lot easier. It was a lot easier for me to communicate my thoughts and my feelings through my art. Um, and I absolutely loved my ninth grade art instructor. Um, even even with me being in this new environment in this new school, my art instructor was so welcoming and passionate, and she was, you know, she was the kind of instructor who not only loved to draw, she not only loved the art itself, but she also was passionate um, about teaching her skills to the students, about passing the torch. Essentially, she was always praising us whenever we did something, but she always encouraged us to think of ways that we can improve. Um, and um, and she was just absolutely wonderful. And she was also the kind of person that makes it easy for students to be on her good side. Like anyone in the classroom could be the teacher's pet. Um, she really doesn't. She really didn't show favoritism towards anyone, but she makes it so that everyone was her favorite. Um, I remember that she always used to give bonus points to any of the students um, who who somehow incorporated her dog into their pictures. And I remember seeing like pictures on her desk, like her personal photos with this dog, and it was a like a little pug, a little puppy of a pug, and I remember that the dog's name was Percy. Um, and one of the artworks that a student from a previous class had done for her, uh, that particular lesson was about perspective and how to use the lines to create the illusion of distance. And this pencil sketch was of a street, and um, and when you look down the street, the lines would be narrower and thinner so that it creates the illusion that you can actually see down that road. And I remember that on one side of the road there was this building. It was either like a general store or a diner. I don't exactly remember which it was, but I remember that the sign on this building said Percy's. And so that student had gotten like 5 extra bonus points for that particular art, and she loved it enough to put it on display for the other classes to see. And I really loved her. I really loved my art instructor that year, and she was just uh, sh her passion for art was just infectious, and she was she was absolutely incredible. I love her to pieces, and that was the time. That was around the time where she encouraged me to submit a piece of artwork for that art competition, and and she was particularly proud of me not only for getting the honorable mention, but for having the courage for a new kid to get involved in the school community. That was that was essentially the reason why she had me get into this art competition. Not really for not really for like getting the attention, but for having the courage to to be more involved. Um, so that all happened in the ninth grade. Um, in the 10th grade, I obviously I passed my art class, so I was moving on from art 1 to art 2, and that meant that I was going to have a different instructor. Um, and in my art 2 class, my art instructor, he was as different from my art 1 instructor as night and day. Um, he was still passionate about art, but he was more interested in learning about the history of art and the different styles of art, and he was more interested in teaching us about the various artists that had existed in the past. Um, and and he was not as encouraging as my art 1 instructor, and that was kind of disheartening to me. Like during my art 1 class, I had felt like, I could make art into a career. I could make money by making art. And by the time my art 2 class was done, I had thought to myself, I can't keep up with these definitions and these artists and all the different styles. If that's what it takes for me to be an artist, then I'd rather not be an artist. And that was the time when I had like basically given up on making on on making art as a career, and that was also the time when I kind of stopped, uh, when I fell out of love with art. Like ninth grade was when I fell in love with art, and the 10th grade was when I fell out of love with art. And I regret taking it that far because I stopped drawing at that time, and like I would still draw like on occasion, but I had lost the skills that I had accumulated during the second half of my ninth grade year and my 10th grade year, because I did get some skills from my 10th grade class, but I just didn't feel the same passion that coming from my art 2 instructor as I did from my art 1 instructor. Um, so I just I wish that I continued practicing art even though I had decided not to make art my career. Um, I wish that I had continued practicing, but that's kind of the reason why I'm doing Pokemon Art Academy, because I'm hoping that through practice, um, not necessarily this game in particular, but I'm hoping that through practicing and by continuing to draw, I might regain some of the skills that I had lost over the years, from not drawing ever since I was in the 10th grade. Um, I'm hoping to regain some of those skills and hopefully, um, not as a career, but more like a serious hobby. I'm hoping to make art like, um, my serious hobby, and I'm hoping that I can achieve that through this game and through the art that you can see on my Twitter account. I just I just feel like I can express myself through art again. And I've got people in the both in the YouTube community and in the Twitter community who are encouraging me, and they're saying things like, "I love your art and you're doing a good job." And I honestly don't feel like my art is that good compared to theirs. Um, but I'm hoping that through practice and through dedication, that I can make that kind of achievement. I can feel confident enough to to make my art something comparable to theirs. Obviously, I can't imitate their style, but I'm hoping that I can make good pieces of art, um, because these people are encouraging me. They're encouraging me to do my best. Well, that takes care of Chespin, Tepig, and Squirtle. I had such a big struggle with Chespin and Squirtle that I don't have the energy right now to go back to the Fennekin lesson. So I'll just take care of that for the next episode. Whew, that was a lot of work. I really struggled a lot with Chespin in particular, and Squirtle has been really hard too. So, um, so for my next episode, I will take the Fennekin lesson, and I will probably do some of the either free paint or a quick sketch, depending on how much time is left. But that will do it for today. And in the comment section below, since tonight was Halloween, tell me about do you go trick or treating? Do you celebrate Halloween? And if you do, what was your favorite costume? Tell me about your favorite costume. That would be interesting to hear. All right, everyone. See you later.